Jeff Bezos just threw Kim Kardashian under the bus in the most public way possible, and it's about to destroy everything she's built over the past decade. We're talking about leaked private conversations, a billion-dollar business deal that went sideways, and Sweeney getting handed the keys to an empire that Kim thought was hers. I've got 15 minutes to walk you through how the richest man in the world just crowned Hollywood's newest queen while ending Kim's reign forever. But before we dive into what just happened, you need to understand how we got here, because this story isn't really about Jeff Bezos at all. It's about two women who represent completely different approaches to building power in Hollywood, and how one miscalculated move just shifted the entire balance. Let's go back to 2022. Sweeney was making $7 million and getting typecast as the troubled teenager in prestige television. She was known for Euphoria, for The White Lotus, for being the girl who could cry on command and look devastated in designer clothes. The industry saw her as talented but limited. Another young actress who would peak in her 20s and fade by 35. Meanwhile, Kim Kardashian was sitting on a billion-dollar empire, launching new businesses every quarter, and seemingly untouchable in the celebrity entrepreneur space. Skims had reached a $4 billion valuation. Her influence was so powerful that a single Instagram post could move stock prices. She had cracked the code on turning fame into sustainable wealth, and everyone in Hollywood was studying her playbook. But here's where the story gets interesting. While entertainment media was covering Sydney's red carpet looks and Kim's latest product drop, something completely different was happening in boardrooms across Los Angeles. Sydney was taking meetings that had nothing to do with her acting career. She was sitting down with production executives, not as an actress looking for her next role, but as a businesswoman with a comprehensive strategy for building intellectual property. She was talking to brand executives about equity partnerships, not just endorsement deals. She was building relationships with financial advisors who typically worked with Fortune 500 CEOs, not 20-something actresses. The first sign that Sydney was playing a different game came when she secured her first look deal. Most people assumed it was a vanity project, the kind of development deal that studios give to rising stars to keep them happy. But industry insiders quickly realized this wasn't standard Hollywood politics. Sydney had negotiated terms that gave her unusual creative control and financial upside. She wasn't just getting paid to potentially develop projects, she was getting paid to own projects. Every script developed under her deal, every concept created by her production company, every piece of intellectual property that came out of those relationships belonged to her in ways that most actors never achieve. At the same time, Kim was facing challenges that would have been unthinkable just 5 years earlier. Her audience was aging. Gen Z consumers were responding differently to aspirational luxury marketing. The influencer space was becoming more crowded and fragmented. Even with her massive success, maintaining market dominance required constantly evolving strategies and increasingly complex business moves. Kim's response was to diversify. She launched SKKY Partners, her investment firm focused on consumer products and media companies. She expanded into legal drama with her upcoming Hulu series, All's Fair. She was making smart moves, but they were reactive moves, designed to protect and expand an existing empire rather than build something fundamentally new. Sydney's approach was the opposite. She was building from the ground up with a completely different philosophy. Instead of leveraging existing fame to create business opportunities, she was creating business assets that would generate value regardless of her moment-to-moment cultural relevance. The contrast became clear in how they each approached brand partnerships. Kim's endorsement deals were massive, lucrative, and tied directly to her personal image. When she promoted a product, consumers bought it because they wanted to emulate Kim Kardashian's lifestyle. It was incredibly effective, but it was also completely dependent on Kim maintaining her specific type of cultural influence. Sydney's brand partnerships were structured differently. She was negotiating deals that positioned her as a strategic partner, rather than just a spokesperson. When she worked with American Eagle, she wasn't just modeling clothes. She was helping develop long-term marketing strategies for reaching Gen Z consumers. When she partnered with luxury brands, she was building relationships that extended far beyond single campaigns. The really telling difference was in their social media approaches. Kim's Instagram showcased lifestyle and products, creating desire and aspiration among followers who wanted to live like her. It was sophisticated, polished, and incredibly effective for driving consumer behavior. Sydney's social media mixed personal moments with behind-the-scenes business content. Her followers saw her in production meetings, talking about creative challenges, discussing the realities of building a company. She was creating parasocial relationships based on shared ambition rather than lifestyle aspiration. This wasn't an accident. Sydney was deliberately building an audience that saw her as relatable and strategic, not just glamorous. She understood that loyalty based on perceived authenticity and shared values runs deeper than loyalty based on lifestyle envy. By late 2023, the results were becoming impossible to ignore. Sydney's net worth had jumped from $7 million to over $40 million in less than 2 years. More importantly, that wealth was diversified across multiple revenue streams that didn't depend solely on her acting success. But the most significant development was happening behind closed doors. Sydney was getting invited to business meetings that had nothing to do with entertainment. She was being courted by major corporations not as a celebrity endorser, but as a strategic partner who understood how to build value in the modern media landscape. Which brings us to Jeff Bezos and the moment when these two different approaches to celebrity entrepreneurship collided in the most public way possible. Now, Jeff Bezos doesn't just wake up one morning and decide to destroy someone's reputation for fun. What happened here was a calculated business decision that exposed everything wrong with Kim's approach to celebrity entrepreneurship. According to inside sources, this all started with Amazon's expansion into celebrity partnerships for their streaming and retail divisions. Both Kim and Sydney were in talks for massive deals that would have redefined how celebrities monetize their personal brands through major corporations. Kim's pitch was classic Kim Kardashian. Leverage her massive social media following, her established business track record, and her cultural influence to drive consumer behavior. On paper, it looked like a guaranteed success. Kim had the numbers, the proven market appeal, and the business infrastructure to execute at scale. But here's where Sydney's approach revealed something that should terrify every established celebrity entrepreneur. When Sydney walked into those same meetings, she didn't just pitch her social media following or her current market value. She pitched ownership stakes, intellectual property development, and long-term strategic partnership models that would grow Amazon's value, not just move their existing products. The leaked conversations that surfaced this week show Jeff Bezos specifically calling out what he saw as the fundamental difference between old celebrity business and new celebrity business. In his words, one approach focuses on extracting maximum value from current fame, while the other focuses on building assets that appreciate regardless of personal brand fluctuations. The devastating part for Kim wasn't just that she lost the deal. It's how Bezos framed the decision in internal communications that somehow made their way to industry publications. He specifically praised Sydney's generational thinking and asset-building mindset while describing Kim's approach as yesterday's playbook in tomorrow's market. But the real bombshell came when Bezos revealed that Sydney had already been working on projects that directly competed with Kim's business interests, and that Amazon was prepared to support those ventures with resources that would make Sydney's $40 million net worth look like pocket change. The industry reaction was immediate and brutal. Within hours of the story breaking, 3 major brands postponed campaign launches with Kim, while 2 others accelerated their timelines with Sydney. Stock prices shifted. Social media engagement patterns changed overnight. The perception of who represents the future of celebrity business flipped in real time. What makes this even more significant is that Sydney didn't orchestrate this moment. She didn't leak the conversations or push for the public comparison. She simply executed a business strategy so effectively that, when placed side by side with the traditional approach, the difference became impossible to ignore. This moment represents something much bigger than 2 celebrities competing for the same business deal. We're watching the entertainment industry's power structure realign in ways that will impact how celebrity entrepreneurship works for the next decade. Sydney's model creates what business analysts call compounding value. Every successful project increases her leverage for the next deal. Every brand partnership builds toward long-term equity rather than just immediate payment. Every business relationship positions her for opportunities that haven't even been created yet. Kim's challenge isn't that her businesses are failing. Skims is still worth billions, and her other ventures continue generating massive revenue. The challenge is that her model depends on maintaining peak cultural relevance, while Sydney's model builds value that exists independent of her moment-to-moment fame. The generational divide here reveals something crucial about changing consumer behavior. Younger audiences respond more powerfully to authenticity and relatability than to aspirational luxury. Sydney's social media shows business meetings and production challenges alongside glamorous moments. Her audience sees ambition and strategic thinking, not just lifestyle content. This creates deeper loyalty and trust, which translates into more sustainable business relationships. When Sydney endorses a product or launches a project, her audience believes she's genuinely invested in its success, not just collecting a paycheck. The Jeff Bezos situation accelerated a transition that was already happening. Traditional celebrity business models worked when fame was scarce and attention was concentrated among a few major stars. Today's landscape rewards celebrities who build actual business value rather than just monetizing their personal brand. What happened this week will influence how every major corporation evaluates celebrity partnerships going forward. The question won't just be how famous are you right now? It will be what assets are you building and how do they align with our long-term strategy? The most fascinating part of this entire situation is what it reveals about the future of celebrity power in Hollywood. We're moving toward a model where business acumen matters more than traditional fame metrics, where strategic thinking trumps social media followers, and where the celebrities who build lasting wealth are the ones who understand that fame is just the starting point, not the end goal. Sydney Sweeney didn't set out to embarrass Kim Kardashian or prove Jeff Bezos right about generational business approaches. She just executed a strategy so effectively that when the spotlight hit, the contrast became undeniable. What happens next will determine whether this was just a momentary shift or the beginning of a permanent change in how celebrity entrepreneurship works. Will Kim adapt her approach to focus more on asset building and strategic partnerships? Will other celebrities follow Sydney's model of production-first business building? Will major corporations restructure their celebrity partnership strategies based on what Amazon just demonstrated? The answers to these questions will shape the entertainment industry's business landscape for years to come. But one thing is already clear. The rules of celebrity entrepreneurship just changed, and the celebrities who recognize that fact first will be the ones who dominate the next decade. If this story surprised you, you need to subscribe because this kind of behind-the-scenes business drama is exactly what I cover on this channel. Hit that notification bell because next week, I'm revealing how Zendaya is quietly building an empire that could make Sydney's $40 million look like the starting point, not the finish line. What do you think about Sydney's approach versus Kim's traditional model? Let me know in the comments because I read every single one, and your insights help shape what stories I cover next.